Hey everybody, Chad here, and today we are just going to be taking a look at installing a full cover water block on this Asus Maximus VIII Extreme assembly board. Now this should be pretty straightforward. We've got a full cover water block here from EK, and it's going to go obviously up here over the CPU socket, and it's going to cover these chokes and also the VRMs, which are underneath the stock heat pipe. So in order to get access to this area, we need to remove this plastic IO cover fascia, and then we need to remove the screws for the stock heat pipe, and then just get that out of the way. We're going to reuse the stock back plates with the thermal pads that are already installed on those, and we're going to install some new thermal pads that came with the kit, and then apply a little bit of thermal grease to the CPU, and then the installation is reversive removal. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to flip this guy over and get those screws taken out, and let's get going. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove these 3 screws that hold that IO shield fascia on. So we're just going to quickly undo these, and that shield will just fall away. So we're going to put those safely over in our parts tray, and I'm just going to lift this guy up here a little bit, and I'm just going to pull this out of the way, and there we go. Okay, so then all that leaves us with the screws that hold the heat pipe for the MOSFETs and VRM area on. So there's a screw here, here, and then these 2 right here. Interestingly enough, I don't think at this point, it's 2017, that you guys are going to be buying this block. I don't think EK sells this anymore. But in case you're wondering, their little diagram here, if you guys can see that, shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to remove this screw too. That's right here below the CPU socket, because that is holding the heat pipe on. These threads got of these screws got a little bit of blue thread locker on them, so don't be surprised if you need a fair amount of force to unscrew them at first. Get those out of the way. Now we want to just take the back plate off here gently, and we're obviously going to reuse this. That doesn't come new with the kit. Oh. Okay. All right. So now that heat pipe is just going to fall right off. So let's just lift this up gently, and there she is. So we're just going to put that over here for now and flip the board back over. Okay, there we go. So this is the VRM. These are MOSFETs, these are chokes, these are capacitors. This is a flagship, or was at the time, for the Z170 chipset flagship board from Asus. These are all very, very high quality components. We want to keep them nice and cool, especially those MOSFETs. So on the back of this block, you've got 2 areas here where we're going to need to have coverage for the thermal pads. We've got this land area here where that's going to rest against the chokes, and then right here is what is going to directly contact the VRMs. Or I'm sorry, the MOSFETs. So you have, this is the thermal pad that EK supplies. It needs to be cut to fit. We need to trim a little bit off of each one of these to get them to fit. Okay, looks like we're going to have plenty. They give you two hunks here. They're about 120 millimeters long, and about what is that, 16 millimeters wide. And then you get this little hunk down here too. That's going to be for this guy. right here. So we're going to cut that to fit. I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements, get these pads cut, and we'll be right back, and we'll put those on. Alright guys, I'm back. I've got all the thermal pads cut, and now all that remains is to remove the protective foil that's on the thermal pads and get them applied to the chokes and the MOSFET. So in order to do that, we're going to take this X-Acto knife, and we're just going to try to peel this up a little bit. And I'll tell you right now that the clear side comes off way easier than the blue side on these EK thermal pads. So this will be a little finicky, but we're going to get it done. And actually, we're going to do the MOSFETs first. Okay, there you go. The thermal pads are now installed. Okay, so on the back of the block, there's this protective cover over where this interfaces with the heat spreader. We're going to leave that on there, and we are going to apply some thermal paste. Now I have some, my favorite here, Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. This is some pretty great TIM, and it's all I use these days. So we're not going to do anything fancy with spreading it around or anything like that, but what I am going to do is take some paper towel and I've already cleaned the surface, but we've got some schmutz on there now, so I'm just going to apply some of this Arctic Clean, just a couple of drops, not too much, and we're just going to make sure that that is as clean as it can possibly be before we install the block. Okay, so now theoretically, the area underneath of this sticker should be 100% clean and very, very shiny. So we shouldn't necessarily need to clean this. So we're going to go ahead and install our thermal paste. And I don't know how y'all do it, but I do the grain of rice, but this came out as more of a glob of rice, but that's going to be plenty. You do not need much more of this than that, and that might actually just be slightly too much. So we're going to remove the sticker. Oh, look at that. We can see ourselves in that. We're going to flip this over, and then now very carefully, without without dropping it onto the socket, we are going to lower this into position and make sure that everything is lined up with the holes. Okay, and there we go. So now that is installed. What we need to do is very gingerly flip this over and get a couple of the screws started. I'm not even going to attempt to do that on camera and try to keep it in frame. It's just going to be too finitely. This is really heavy on this side of the board now. I don't want to crack the board. So we'll be back once I've got this mostly attached. All right, everybody, we're back, and we have the stock back plates reattached. So we're just going to finish up here. We are going to put these M4 screws through the CPU socket holes and just tighten these up. These come with a nylon washer, and EK is kind enough to supply an Allen wrench to get these in. That one's a little cockeyed. And you'll notice that there won't be anything in that other screw hole. The block does not extend down that far. It's not required. So we're just going to get these started in here. And we're going to go in a cross pattern. Oop, oh, that was good on it. Going to go in a cross pattern before we cinch anything down too far. Okay, and then we don't have to go nuts on these. Just till they're tight. Okay. And then we are going to go ahead and reinstall this plastic fascia, and we're just going to do that. Well, we already have it tipped over here carefully. And there's just a couple of locator pins for that guy. And we will get our 3 self-tapping screws back over here. Okay. That's it, guys. We have our EK full cover water block totally installed, and that thing just looks amazing. Look at that. That is really something else. Oh man, I am fairly impressed with that. That's gonna look great. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This has been kind of an adventure for me with this camera here in front of my face. So let me know how I did. How does the audio sound? How does the video look? And hope to see you guys again soon. Alright.